What's good, everybody? It's your boy Canelo, big brother, you know, the one that's gonna give it to you real, you know what I mean? I was real young and I made all those mistakes, and I was fortunate to realize that, you know, the way I was raised, it wasn't the right way. And, you know, I was just fortunate to realize that, you know, all that shit, it's just gonna weigh you down. So the topic of this video is why I stopped smoking weed and why I will never smoke weed again. So I started smoking weed when I was 14, and I held that habit all the way up until now. I'm 29 and I just stopped a few days ago. I did stop when I was 19 for a year, and that's because I had a real bad drug overdose. So I had to stop. I was scared straight. Scared straight. And in that time, I got real close to my pops. So I started working with my dad. And that's the first time I seen the power of having a routine and what good it could do for a young man, right? So in that year, I stayed away from my homies. I stayed away from drugs. I stayed close to my family. I worked. I helped my parents out. I went back to school because I dropped out at 18. And that's the first time I really seen, like I said, the power of having a positive routine, you know, and not being around. I think the main thing is not being around people who are gonna drag me into things that weren't gonna benefit me, and that things that were gonna slow me down and take a year from my life, just because I was wasting it on being, you know, a dummy. So when I got clean that year, I went back into the streets because I was only 20, you know. So I started smoking weed again, and I was always able to get things done right and still smoke, but like I was never like a high achiever. You know what I mean? Like I was always like real mediocre, you know what I mean? And then I got into fitness in my early 20s, and so like I got fit and whatnot, but I was always limited with that habit, with smoking weed, because smoking weed is a crutch, you know what I mean? Because you start depending on it. You literally got to do it before you do anything, you know what I mean? Like I had that habit for, I don't know, 14 years maybe, so I know what I'm saying is true, you know what I mean? And like, you pretty much got to smoke before you do anything. And then you get to a certain level where it doesn't get you to the point you want to be. So it's like you're chasing the dragon. You know what I mean? And you're just like, you're chasing a feeling, and you could like waste an hour like just trying to smoke just to feel right, but it's all in your head, man. You know what I mean? But it's all in your head because of the drug. And weed is a drug, you know? And the reason why I say it's a drug is because I've been addicted to many drugs in my life. And when you quit weed, you have withdrawals, just like you have withdrawals when you get clean off any other drug, you know? And so as I got older, one thing that I did realize about weed is it kept me stagnant and it kept me comfortable. It kept me the same, you know what I mean? And I've been blessed because I honestly do think this is through God. You know, he put a vision in my head for my fitness brand, you know, and I just like, I can't get it out of my head, you know. And I knew the only way that I was gonna be able to bring it to fruition is if I was the best version of myself, you know. And so that was always the vice that was hardest for me to drop too, though. You know, like I always held on to it the most. I was real stubborn to let it go, you know, up until a few days ago. I let it go, and I honestly do think it's for good. Because all the other times that I kicked the habit, I just kicked the habit, but I didn't add new habits to reinforce my decision to no longer smoke weed, you know. But the difference this time is I put all my faith into God about it this time. And also, like, I'm just like in a different space, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physiologically, probably wrong, but you know, I'm just a lot more mature, you know, and a lot of people, they're not fortunate to have that realization, you know what I mean? So like a lot of people that I grew up around, they're still stuck in the same habits, man, and they ain't never built anything of significance, you know. And the older I get, man, I want to build something of significance, you know. And it's a beautiful thing, because like where I come from, we don't think of these things, you know, because like I said, the people who I was raised by, they didn't put a good book in my hands, or they didn't tell me like, hey, no, like don't do that, you know, like stay away from that. They didn't tell me that because they didn't know any better either. So that's why I'm here and I'm telling you, don't smoke that shit, don't party, and don't drink. Because if you're young, I'm gonna tell you things you should do. If you're in high school, right, and you are smoking that shit, drop it. And drop it before it's harder for you to drop it when you get older, right? And stay away from people, from friends who are gonna pressure you to go hang around people who do that or go do things. You know, because the older you get doing those things, the harder it is gonna be for you to drop them. Especially if you get older and you're blessed with having realizations and growing up and maturing and realizing that it's just slowing you down, you know. So I implore all the youngsters, stop smoking weed and don't party. And one of the main ones too is stay away from negative influences, you know, because all they're gonna do is just make your life harder, you know. And if you're that age, 18, 19, and if you gotta do it solo dolo, do it solo dolo, homie. Don't be afraid to do your own thing. In silence, you know, it's not gonna last forever, but put your head down, work in silence. For you to be antisocial, I'm saying for you to focus on the things that's gonna build your future. Work and start saving at a young age, you know. Start educating yourself for what you might think your future is a career, you know. The earlier you start to think like that, the better it's gonna be for you, because you're gonna put the certain actions you gotta do, you're gonna put everything in motion at a way younger age, you know. And as you get older, you're just gonna be in a better position, you know. So, but the only way you're gonna be able to do that is if you don't have any bad vices, right? And also, like, stay away from people who are gonna encourage you to participate in activities that'll slow you down, you know. And I'm just fortunate that I was able just to mature, you know. And so that's what, like, I always try to come on here, tell the real, you know, and the real from my experiences, you know, because no one else is gonna tell you this shit, you know what I mean? And it don't make you lame if you don't smoke. It don't make you lame if you don't drink. That don't make you lame. I'm gonna tell you what does make you lame. When you're 40 years old and you're still doing the same shit you were doing when you're in high school and you still live with your mama and daddy, that shit is lame, you know. So I implore all the youngsters, please don't smoke weed, please don't party, stay away from negative influences. If you gotta do it solo dolo, homie, do it solo dolo, okay? Focus on yourself. Have a few friends who really care about you. Have your girl, right? And so they can hold you down, right? And just work. Because by the time you pick your head up, you're going to see how far you are from everybody else, and you're just going to see how much of a good position you're going to be in. Stay away from vices and stay away from negative influences, little homie. That's the message for today. I promise I'm not going to smoke weed anymore. And all I'm trying to do is just pay it forward, you know. I'm trying to be that person in your corner if you don't have them. I'm trying to be that person for you to tell you that you could do it another way. You don't have to turn out like everybody else around you. And if you put your faith in God, you know, everything will be all right. Okay, so with that being said, see you guys for the next one. It's your boy Canelo, and I'm out, Ski.